إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Alhamdulillah, we are now in our fourth lesson in Tajweed, our fifth lesson in Tajweed. Alhamdulillah, we went over the last time the title Ahkam al-Nun al-Sakina wa Tanween, and we went over it at great depth so that everybody could understand what that means, and that was important at that time. Now this lesson we're going to start on dealing with Nun al-Sakina wa Tanween and the rules. The first line in the poetry here, it goes, and every line is a poem, and every rule comes in the lines of the poetry. So you have to follow it piece by piece. And we're only going to try to do one rule at a time so that people can learn the lesson. You know, I said that when we used to sit with our shuyukh, we wouldn't sit for hours on a time learning one lesson. He would teach you one lesson, and then if you sat listening to someone else's lesson, that was either a preview or a review for you. Okay? So your lesson is usually one. You master that lesson and then you go on to the next part. Not a whole bunch of things that you don't get to understand at one time. So it goes off right here. Linnuni in taskuni. It goes over here. Linnun in taskun. Walit tanwini. Tanwini. Arba'u. أحكام فخذ تبييني. Okay, now let me go over this again. It goes للنون لنون إن تسكن ولت تنوين أربع أحكام فخذ تبييني. Okay, let me just make sure something. Now, أربع أحكام فخذ تبييني. What does this mean? It says للنون, for the noon, for the noon, and here we mean the letter noon. In, when or if, taskun, it has a sukoon over it, a sukoon, which would be the marks that we went over before, right? If it have a sukoon over it, so if it's noon that has a sukoon, one of those marks over it, let's do it like this also. Walit tanweeni, and for the tanween, and li for the tanween. And we went over before, tanween is fatatan, kasratan, or dhammatan, right? So the first rule starts off, linnuni in taskun wa lit tanweeni. For the noon, when it has a sukoon over it, and for the tanween, arba'u ahkam. Arba'u here means four. Ahkamun, it means rules. There are four rules. Fakhudh, so then take. Because of this, fakhudh, so then take. So take. Tabyini. Tabyini is from the word bayyina. Okay? Bayyina. To make something clear. Tabyini is my clarification. He's saying here, my clarification. What is he referring to? He's saying that for nun is sakina and tanween, nun is sakin and tanween, there are four rules. 1, 2, 3, 4. However, there needs to be some clarification, because as we get into it, one of these rules has two parts to it. Okay? And I want to give you more than what you need. One of these rules has two parts to it, so it's really going to equal out to actually like 5 rules. That's what this means right here. Okay? Everybody got that? Can we move on? Go. So you should learn that. للنون إن تسكون وللتنوين أربع أحكام فخذ تبييني. Now what are the 5 or 4 rules? That's what you have to learn. And like I said, I don't want to give you anything quicker than you need to memorize. You need to save your brain energy to learn what you're going to have to know. Right now, the first rule, he doesn't name all the rules. He doesn't tell you what they are. He just tells you there's 4 rules. And then he says there needs to be some clarification because one of the rules is actually a part 1 and a part 2, A and B. So there's actually 5 rules. Everybody understand that? That is the explanation of the first line. And that's all it is. We don't have to go any further or deeper in trying to understand that. Is anybody confused? Okay. Moving right along. فالأول الإظهار قبل الأحرف للحلق 6 رتبت فلتعرفي. It says فالأول, say that. فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق 6 رتبت فلتعرفي. So it says فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق 6 رتبت فلتعرفي or تعرفي فلتعرفي or تعرفي. Okay, so what does this mean? It says then فالأول, so then the first rule here, the word missing here is the first hukm or the first rule. Okay, to make it clear. فالأول what? So the first what? So the first rule out of those 5 or the 4 that you want to mention is al-idhar. What is it called? Idhar. So we have to put that here. Idhar. And before we go further, we have to understand what idhar is. Idhar is from the root word dhahara. Say dhahara. That's what you call your back. Your dhaharun is your back, as big as it is. It's also, we say, dhuhr. Salatul dhuhr. Right? It's called Salatul Dhuhr because it's plain as day. It's a time of day that's clear. It's called your back because it's big. You can't hide it. Right? So idhar, as a terminology for tajweed, is to clearly pronounce the noon is sakina and the tanween clearly and distinctly and independent, not mixed with the other letters. Zahiran. Clearly. Everybody get that? That's why it's called idhar. So you're to say an or un or in. That's what idhar is. And not to mix that sound of that noon or sakin or tanween with any other letter. Okay? But we have to remember, what are we talking about? We're talking about a noon, sakin or tanween coming before a certain letter, right? So what letters? It says lil haqq. It says fal awwalun. So the first rule is idhar. When? When do we make this idhar? When noon or tanween come before what letters? Qabla al ahrufi, before certain letters. What do you mean? Qabla ahrufi lil halq, before the letters of the throat. Okay?